Hey, what's up, everyone? In this video, we are going to look at all things breadcrumbs. So these are the breadcrumbs that are visible on the front end of your website, the HTML versions that allow users to to navigate your site better if you so choose to show them. So there's two types. There's the breadcrumbs that live in the back end of your website that are visible by search engine crawlers and such. And then what we're going to talk about today is the HTML version, which is the visual side of things. Okay. All right. So I've been working actually the breadcrumbs was the last piece of the guide to make sure that I got dialed in. But I'm officially done in air quotes. It's never going to be done. It's going to continuously be updated. But I completely revamped the SEOPress guide for my listing websites for 2026. So if you go over to Resource Finder and you can go to the guides, so to scroll down a bit, filter out the guides, and you should see, well, depending on when you watch this video, you should see this guide right here. Configure SEOPress for my listing websites in 2026. So when you watch this video, maybe later, months down the road, this guide, just do a search for this guide. This guide may be a little bit buried more than it is now. But if we click into this, like I said, completely revamped top to bottom. I've spent a good solid week on this. There's lots that goes into it, verifying that everything I'm saying is true, updating my latest recommendations, how I do things, how I'm doing things for client sites, just a complete revamp. Okay. One of the sections in here is breadcrumbs. So if you do a search for breadcrumbs, here we go. So this entire section is what we're going to cover in this video. So there are, like I said, the behind the scenes breadcrumbs. Those are the JSON breadcrumbs. So you're going to want to enable those in your SEO plugin of choice. Obviously, this guide is for SEOPress specifically. So you just got to find in your particular plugin where they allow you to do that. If they don't allow you to do that, you should probably look at a different SEO plugin. So, but what we're going to focus on mainly in this video is the HTML version. So, but with the JSON behind the scenes breadcrumbs, you literally in SEOPress, you just turn them on. Okay. There's not a whole lot you need to do. There's a couple optional things that you can do. But by and large, you just need to enable it in SEOPress and you're good to go. Okay. So let's get to rolling with HTML breadcrumbs for listing. Now, there's two ways that you can do this. You can do this in SEOPress, which is my preferred way, or you can do this within MyListing. So let's quickly look at the MyListing way. Go over here to a MyListing website, theme tools, theme options. And in this case, we're talking about single listings. So we're going to click into the single listings area here. And if you scroll down, you're going to see enable breadcrumbs. If you turn that on, you also need to turn off sticky header on scroll or they will not show. Save your changes. And then let's go look at a listing here on the front end. This is the MyListing demo site, just literally just a fresh install. So we should see those breadcrumbs right up here at the top. I'm not sure why we are not. Breadcrumbs are enabled. We are not. Oh, I know what it is. It's my fault. It's not the sticky header on scroll. It's this one right here. And I wish they would give us a note on this, but I had to ask support the other day. But you want to turn off blend header. There we go. So this is the MyListing version, and as I talk about in the SEOPress document, this isn't my favorite version. And the reason is because by default, there's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons it looks like you now have two different headers. Okay, you've got this black one and then this white one. Now you could do some things. You could extend it so you could put like the background of this header right here where it's white. You could make it black or like just a little bit of a lighter shade of black so it looks like it's kind of part of the original header. I just don't like this look because it pushes the content even further down the page. So before I don't know. I think you can see what I'm talking about. It just looks like two headers. The other problem is you have no control. MyListing controls all of this. So you need to know how to write or edit code to be able to change any of this. If you look, you've got the name of the restaurant over here on the left. And then over here on the right, you can't control what is in these breadcrumbs. So you can't display, like if you don't want your custom taxonomy to be listings, or you want to add additional custom taxonomies or any taxonomies, really, categories, regions, whatever, to your breadcrumbs, you can't do it. You'd have to ask. You either need to know how. You either need to be a developer, or you need to hope that the MyListing support gives you the development that you need for that. But even so, I just don't like this two header look. All right. All right, so that's the MyListing way. As you see on this screen, this is a different test site of mine. You see how my implementation works, and this is with SEOPress. So it doesn't take up a lot of room. It doesn't make it look like you've got two separate headers up there. It's a really nice look, in my opinion. Now, there's a million ways that you can design this once you get this in place, but I helped you guys with a bit of CSS. So this was just my quick rendition of how this could possibly work on your site. Okay, let's go back to the guide. So the first thing we need to do is to enable the breadcrumbs within SEOPress. So let's go. I'm hoping I am logged into this site. Oh yeah, well, you know what we'll do? We're going to recreate this on this other test site right here. So we're going to turn off the MyListing version. We're going to recreate what I've done. Okay, here we go. So we're starting from scratch right now. All right. So let's go over here to SEOPress and then Pro. You have to have the Pro version for this, which reminds me, if you are a client of mine, I can get you a copy of SEOPress Pro for no additional charge. If you are not a client of mine, you can go to influencewp.com, which is my own MyListing project, where you can get a deal for SEOPress. Okay. All right, so we go to breadcrumbs right here. We toggle it on. We scroll down. We click on enable HTML breadcrumbs. Here are those JSON breadcrumbs that I was talking about. You don't have to turn these on for the HTML versions to work, but as part of the SEOPress guide, you'll see that I recommend just turning this on. All right, so you need to turn this on, and you need to put your separator in here. I like the slash that leans to the left, which they are kind of showing you here. So go ahead and just type that in. Slash that leans the slash that leans to the right. So go ahead and type that in. And we're going to just save changes here. All right, going back to our guide, we've enabled the breadcrumbs. We've skipped the taxonomy to show. We can come back to that. But I can show you guys how you can further customize those breadcrumbs, which I said MyListing can't do out of the box. And also display text before those breadcrumbs. But I want to show you first how it looks by default. So the next thing we need to do is add the HTML breadcrumbs to the listings. For that, we need either a plugin, a file manager plugin, or we need an SFTP, Secure File Transfer Protocol application. I use FileZilla. It's absolutely free to use. But we need to get into the file system of your server. So once you connect to your server, you're just going to go to public WP content, and then you're going to go into themes, MyList, and then go into the MyListing parent theme. Then we're going to go into templates, and then we're going to grab this listing.php file. And we're just going to drag this down to our local workstation. I'm going to pull it down to my downloads folder here. Okay, once that file is in here, we see it over here on the left, we're just going to edit this. And you got to make sure you have some sort of a file, a text file manager on your computer. Let me see what I have for that. I recommend Visual Studio Code for this, but I don't know if I actually have it installed. So let me see. We may need to install this together. Yeah, here we go. So Visual Studio Code, you can install for any operating system. I've got Windows. We're just going to go ahead and install this. Okay, Visual Studio Code is installed. If I go to my downloads folder where I pulled that listing.php file, here it is. We can just right click on that and say open with or open in Visual Studio Code. That is going to bring up the listing.php file as we see here. Okay, going back to the guide, it says, close a few screens here. What we want to do is we want to copy this code right here. And as it says, we want to copy this and paste it in line 46 of that file. Okay, we find line 46, which is right here. And we see that I've already copied it. Which shouldn't be the case. Oh, that's because I've already done this on this test site. That's my fault. But anyway, that's what I would have done. Just pretend I haven't done it. We would go to line 46. This line would not be here if I hadn't done this already. You would come in here and it would look, your file would look just like this. And you just come over here in 46 and just paste that in. All right. All right. So that is that. That's my bad. I wanted to try to do everything together fresh, but I forgot to take that back out. All right. So you just put that into your file. You save the changes to your file. So let's bring that back. We've added that change. Okay. And then you can go file, save, or whatever the application is that you're using. Go ahead and close that down. And if you happen to be using FileZilla, what we're going to do then is we're going to browse, or whatever it is that you're using. We're going to browse then to, instead of the parent theme this time, we're going to go to MyListing child theme. And I've got a link to the MyListing child theme guide as well. If you're not familiar with why you should have it, this is an example of why you should have it. Okay, so we need to create the exact folder structure that was in that parent theme, right? And I actually need to update the guide with that. So remember, we went into themes, MyListing, templates, and it was right there at the root of templates. So all we need that's missing is a templates folder in our child theme. So we're going to go back to our child theme. We're going to create a folder right here. Right click, create new. It's not a file, we want a folder. Right click, create a new directory. We're going to call this templates. Remember, it's got to be exactly the same path, the exact same everything. Templates. There we go. We're going to then browse into the templates folder, drag our updated listing.php file in here. Okay, so we have now added HTML breadcrumbs to the listing that work with SEOPress. All right. All right. So now if we go over here, we see there's no breadcrumbs, but over in SEOPress, we've enabled them. And now we've also added to our listing.php template those breadcrumbs. So when I hit refresh here, we should see them. There we go. So we see them appear right here. Remember, MyListing by default placed them up here. I don't know why my browser keeps doing that, but here we go. Remember, MyListing placed like what looked like a duplicate header up here with different background colors. Now we have it nice and tidy down here, but it still doesn't look. It doesn't look great. It's pushing our menu down here. It just doesn't look right. We're trying to go for a look similar to what we have here. All right. So I've provided you guys the code. Just come down here, grab this CSS, add it to your site, however it is that you add CSS. I do it with WP Codebox. So we go into WP Codebox. We create a snippet. Let me adjust something here really quick. All right, I'm gonna delete this test snippet. So we just start from scratch, get rid of a few screens. Thank you, Elementor. Okay, here we go. Got rid of all the Elementor screens, which are annoying. Okay, new snippet. I'm just gonna call this test for the purposes of this video. We're gonna go CSS. We're gonna make the snippet run in the footer. It's where we need it to run because we're dealing with Elementor sites. We're going to open the conditions builder, and this is for performance reasons. We're going to say add condition if the current post type is a listing. That's the only way we want to run this code. That's one of the true powers of WP Codebox is conditional loading of code snippets. If you're a client of mine, I can get you WP Codebox for free. If you're not a client, go to influencewp.com, grab the exclusive deal. All right. All right. We're going to just go ahead and paste in the code I gave you from the guide. Save our changes, enable the snippet, refresh the listing on the front end. Let's do it before and an after. There we go. Now you'll notice it's still not perfect, right? There's design to look at. It's there, and it's actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me pause this video real quick. I'm gonna figure out how to get this to quit doing this in my browser. I've always wanted to do that, figure that out. So I'll be right back. Okay, I was able to disable that. Here we go. Let's test it out. Cool. If you happen to be using Edge or Chrome, it's called Magnify. So I was hitting Control, and it would always magnify the image, and it drove me crazy. Okay, anyway, this looks pretty good already. Actually, now that I'm looking back at this, the only thing we need to fix are these links, and that's just because this is just the MyListing demo site, and the way our links are set up. If you're not familiar, that's all done with Elementor. We can look at that real quick as a little like sidebar here. We just need to find any page, edit it with Elementor. We then need to go into the top left corner and go to site settings, typography, and then links. Okay. For the purposes of this video, let's just find the right color. Let's just go with yellow just for fun because that logo is yellow. Let's go like a bright yellow. Okay, let's go with that. And yeah, that's fine. You'd want to set the hover color too. That's not what this video is about, obviously, but I just want to show you that out of the box, because your links are going to be set up probably correctly already as far as styling. So I want to show you that out of the box, the code I'm giving you is going to look good for a lot of websites. Let's go ahead and just refresh here. Boom, there we go. See that hover, you're going to want to fix that, obviously. But out of the box, this looks great. And then you guys can design this however you want. Put a different background. Like I've got black on this right here. You can put a different background, change your link colors, just specifically for your single listings if you want. We do see though that the menu is pushed down here a bit. That could be because of this. So let's go tinker a bit. Go listing types, place, single page cover style. Let's do gallery just so we can shorten it up a bit. Okay, so that's better just for our viewing purposes, but it's still pushing this down, and it shouldn't. See how it isn't here? It's like all perfectly lined up, and I think part of the reason, I know what the reason is. One of those annoying things about MyListing that I can't stand. Okay, theme tools, theme options, general. Where's the background color? Right here. In web development, you should never set anything but a white background. Okay? You got to let your users pick what background they want. That's just one of my biggest pet peeves about MyListing. All right, let's refresh that. There we go. Beautiful. Looks great. Now, if you want to come in here and put a gray background on here or an off-white background, that's your choice as the designer, but MyListing should not be doing that for us. There we go. Now it looks great. If we go back to our listing type, we could put that cover style right back to cover image, and it should work just fine. There we go. Looks great. Now, if we look over on mobile and we go to responsive, this should look good on any device. There we go. Awesome. All right. Let's go back to the guide here. So the next thing is if you want to modify those breadcrumbs. So right now we see it's just home, listings, and then the listing type. But what we can do now is go over into SEOPress, scroll down just a bit, and if we keep going here, we're going to see taxonomy to show in breadcrumbs. We want to find listings. Here we go. Here we can choose what we want to be here. You can use categories, regions, custom taxonomy, whatever. We're going to go categories. Okay, and let's watch this change. There we go. So now we have even a more fine-grained navigation. So now they can, if they want to go back and look at restaurants, they can click on that. and find those. Okay, if they want to go back to all listings, they can click on listings, do that. If they want to go home, they can go home. All right, what if we want to do a little bit more? What if we want to come down here, and what if we want to add some text before our breadcrumb? What if we want to say, let's use what they show right here. You are here. Refresh. There we, and then we add. Now I didn't actually style for this, so this might look a little funky. Yeah, it actually does. Yeah, I did not accommodate for that. So you guys can let me know if you can reach out to me and let me know if you end up doing that. So it's just this text right here that's causing the problem. I didn't style for that. Because I don't think people are going to use that often. But if you do and you want me to create another snippet to address that, you can let me know. But I think this looks really good right here. I just wanted to let you know the main thing is that you can further customize what shows in these breadcrumbs and add to them. Whereas with MyListing, you don't have a choice unless you're a developer or they're willing to help you out, right? Let's go back over here. So we enabled the breadcrumbs. We added them to the listings. We talked about enhancing them. Now, there's also some links here in the guide. I worked with SEOPress a bit on this in the past, and there's some resources for you. If you're not a developer, there's resources you can give the MyListing developers to help them out. Or if you hire a developer, there's some resources here for how to do this, even adjust things more with MyListing and Breadcrumbs with SEOPress. All right. All right, guys, that is it. Hopefully that helped. Yeah, this is an example of how it could look. Here's another example of how it could look. This is on a copy of my Canvas starter site that you can get from My Listing Club. Yeah, it looks good no matter what cover style you use. It's mobile responsive. It's going to help people navigate your listings. All right, I will see you all in the next video.